BKBK podcast where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. I'm your host, Brandon Phillips, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Brian Taylor and Captain Kyle McKenna. All righty. Kerry's not with us because he's over there in Greece, in the Aegean Sea over there.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah, big time. You know, I guarantee he's fronting big time over there. You know, shirt off, or is he wearing like the or is he wearing the he probably did 100 push-ups and put on like the tank, you know, fronting hard. Yeah, I love it, Kerry. It's so good. Kerry went out there like Hector, but don't bump into Achilles. Know your Greek mythology, folks. All right? I can school you in Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology. You know what I mean? That Mesopotamian, Sumerian mythology as well. I got it all right here.
Yo, I know pathology too. I know pathology.
Yeah. By the way, Brian, I'm saying this on air, but how come I can't see you now? I don't get it. I can hear you. Chirping like a bird, but I can't see.
I don't know. Let me see if I technical. This is all live, so let me see if I can fix that. Let me see if I fix.
All right, bet. So in the
you're live on Facebook though.
Yeah, we definitely are live on Facebook. But in the meantime, the 2023 Jets preseason is fully underway. Aaron Rodgers is in camp as a Jet. Can you believe that? And I got you right now, B. I see you. The New York Jets are on Hard Knocks. They didn't want to be, but they're in there like swimwear anyway. And the Jets are having a relatively healthy camp. Fingers crossed. All right, folks? Keep the fingers crossed. So let's talk about it and see what it looked like. All right?
Yeah.
So in the preseason 2023, one notable new face, one of the greatest faces, I guess, ever in the world of football is Aaron Rodgers. He's our quarterback. And he hasn't played, but he has practiced. And, you know, when you bring in other teams, say like the Redskins or the Panthers or what have you, you come in, you know, and you do on, you know, your full practices and stuff. It's game type situations, you know, it's things that they put up there to make things real. So Aaron Rodgers is getting his work. So I'm saying that because I don't want people out there thinking that he's not getting the work in because he's not playing preseason games. This guy's a pro. Okay, so don't worry about that. And from what I hear, he's been playing really, really well from the clips that I've watched and just from what I've been reading. So he's playing well, and so are a bunch of other Jets. All righty. And what we're going to do in this first segment is really talk about all the good stuff in this preseason. All right. What do the Jets feel good about in this preseason? I just talked about Aaron Rodgers. Who wants to talk a little bit more about him and add on to what the Jets are feeling good about in this preseason? I think Kyle's got something to say. Take it away, Kyle.
I think that you really want to emphasize the running back room. We have some good running backs out there with Bam Knight and Izzy Abaconda. The first two preseason games has gotten the majority of the carries. And he had a run last night that was absolutely spectacular, you know, spinning away. Probably should have scored the touchdown. They didn't give it to him. They said his knee went down first. But we got an explosive running back in the draft from New York, probably a Jet fan growing up in Brooklyn and going to Lincoln High School. So that's a position room that if we do go the way of bringing in Dalvin Cook, which from what I hear, the Jets and Dalvin Cook are very far away on that, you know, in the neighborhood of like $3 million. And also that the Jets don't really want to bring all of Dalvin Cook's stuff out onto Hard Knocks. If you do dig deep into that, there is some domestic abuse allegations and stuff like that that are overshadowing all that don't get really talked about with the contract stuff. But running back room is good with or without Dalvin Cook, and then the return of Breece Hall, which should be awesome at some point.
Sure.
I can't believe in 2 years how much better our tight end room has gotten. And I really hope that Conklin could have a Pro Bowl type season, and Uzama can play well. But I think this year we're going to cut a tight end that, just like last year, that could go and play in either start or be second string on another team. like what happened with Lawrence Cager last year.
Sure. Sure.
Because Kenny Yeboah is playing really, really well.
Yes,
Rucker
he is.
is playing well. And then
Boom.
yesterday, Zach Kuntz had a touchdown as well. Um, and a nice run after catch. So that's a great position room for the Jets right now on offense.
Well, and I mean, I think everybody's burying the lead here because the tightest, and I mean, it's really the D line. I mean, you look at
Woo!
wow. When you look
Don't get
at
me started.
yeah, man, the best position group we have on this team, and then the cornerback is a close second, right? I mean, close second there, but that defensive line, the defensive ends, what do we have? 5 sacks yesterday? Yes, 5 sacks total yesterday.
5 sacks.
I mean,
5 sacks.
it's crazy, Let me see. The guy we just picked up, I think Hector had a sack. Obviously we have our rookie, right? Who's out there. He had his first
McDonald.
sack. Yeah, McDonald had his first sack as well. JJ had a half a sack with Bryce Huff.
Yep.
They had a meeting at the quarterback or whatever as well. But
Another
man,
guy, Alexander.
Quentin Jefferson
Quinn
had
Jefferson
a
had a sack as well. All of these
And
are
Alexander.
our supposed second stringers. So Q didn't play. It was so many folks that just didn't play, right? JFM didn't
Lawson
play.
didn't play.
Yeah.
Clemens didn't play.
Just right.
Um,
Lawson
Yeah.
didn't play.
Jeez.
Lawson
Yeah.
didn't play.
Yeah.
Our D line is ridiculous. And McDonald, we were talking in the text yesterday. He has a lot of Javon Curse and Dwight Freeney in him.
Certainly
Oh,
does.
yeah.
He's spinning like Dwight Freeney, and he has these arms and this wingspan that when he spins, it's like 10 feet across. It's a really crazy thing to watch. He looks pretty unblockable.
And I'm going to add on with Jermaine Johnson. I mean, they're standing him up a lot too. His fingers are in the dirt as well as standing up, and he just looks phenomenal. He looks like he got a little bigger, but didn't lose any speed.
Yep.
And like I was saying in our chat yesterday, he went from one move to the next. And as a D lineman, they teach you that, they coach you that. You go in with a primary move, and you have to have a secondary move. And then if that gets stunted or stopped, you go and transition to your third move. But he didn't even need to go into his third move because he went in, spun into the guy, and the guy kind of held him up, but then he just power rushed him, and then he got to the quarterback just a millisecond before Huff did. So he would have had a sack even if Huff wasn't there.
Right.
But they ended up splitting the sack and getting a half a sack. But regardless, it's still a sack. A sack is a sack, and I'll take it. And you saw in that game through the highlights and clips that I watched the amount of pressure. Like the number one draft pick out of Alabama, Bryce. Why do I
Bryce
forget?
Young.
Bryce Young.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bryce Young. He had a terrible game. Terrible game. Zach Wilson had a much better game than Bryce Huff, and the Panthers were playing their starters. We weren't, so
Not all of their starters. So like
not all, but
their
but
top
a lot
pass
more
rushers.
than that.
Yeah. Their starters on offense were out there. The majority in defense, but their pass rush folks weren't out there. Their top ends weren't out there. So
They had Gross Matos out there.
Burns wasn't out there, and neither was
Burns wasn't out there.
No, and
Nah.
he was wreaking havoc in practice, from what I heard.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So, so again, I mean, it wasn't their full, but yeah, they definitely had a good chunk of starters out there, though.
Yeah,
They played their starters or whoever they were going into the game with as starters for the half, and the Jets twos dominated what they put out there.
yeah.
That
That was my overall point.
on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and we do a lot of rotating on the defensive line. So just because they're second string, quote unquote, doesn't mean that they're not going to see time. We do a lot of rotating on the D line.
1A,
anyway.
1B.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
packages.
Yep.
Well,
but
you
yeah.
know what? They better rotate Q a little bit less because remember Q flipped out on the sideline. Remember that one?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that was because he felt like he was getting rotated too much. Too much.
Yeah.
He had
You-
to fight on the coordinator a little bit or his D line coach. I forget which one.
White Cotton.
Right.
But they're
They got that straight.
Hard Knocks is doing a good job Hard Knocks and also the One Jets Drive, which I mean, there's a little bit of crossover in the two of them, but they're kind of you're getting a lot of media coverage for the Jets right now, especially in that type of way. But they're really getting the personality of Q to come out and to see like it makes much more sense that he would get in an argument like that on the sideline
Oh yeah.
and be able to move on from it because of the guy that he is now. He looks very, very free and comfortable. He says what he means and how he feels, but he's coming at it with a really he's. I'm going to throw Muhammad Wilkerson under the bus a little bit here because I feel like when he got paid, he stopped playing hard. Um, it kind of like it kind of like went all downhill from there. I don't see that same thing happening with Q. I see an intrinsic fire that he wants to be great. He wants to be the best. And the money was more of a necessary jump to get there.
Yeah.
And
But
you know what? Like think about it. If you had a brother, right? Like Brian, what if you and Kerry happened to be on the same team? You know what I'm saying? You guys would be challenging each other and loving each other and lifting each other up, every step of the way. And his brother signed a new contract this offseason with the Jets. So they're both
Right.
satisfied. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They can both do their thing and both satisfied, and they're both able to challenge each other, lift each other up, get on each other's nerves, but still hug it out and love one another and protect one another. Because nothing's happening to the other without the other stepping in. It's just not happening.
Right.
Well, I love that dynamic. And if you look at the culture of the Jets, I just feel like there's like a brotherhood that has really started to congeal there, where in years past you didn't necessarily have that. And I just really like what I'm seeing. I think it has part to do with Aaron Rodgers coming, and really, um, you know, I looked at Aaron Rodgers as an egomaniac, and I'll be the first one to admit it. I didn't want him here. I didn't want him here, but he has come here, and I feel like he's helped to kind of bring things together with the way that he's come in as a mentor and almost like a father figure helping Zach. I mean, Zach lost his starting position, but then he's like, hey, coach me up. I'm ready. He's taking the coaching from Aaron Rodgers. I just like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I like what I'm seeing all around.
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
he's go ahead.
no, I would just say, we haven't mentioned the head coach, but Robert Saleh, and his ability to help facilitate, that transition from Zach to Rodgers,
Yeah.
motivate. I did watch Hard Knocks as well, and the first thing they go into is him like in the motivational speech and get better inch by inch, and I'm paraphrasing because it's not exactly what he said, but every day.
Was it the Crow and Eagle speech? Was it the Crow and
Yeah.
Eagle speech?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
I
first
like
one.
that one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. So it's just great to see him, and now, it's like now you're driving a Ferrari, right? You got Aaron Rodgers there, right? Who's being able to take that offense, hopefully, and match what the defense potentially could be this year, right? Without Aaron Rodgers being and leading this offense, you don't feel that way. You don't go into the season feeling that you can be in every single game, right? What does that do for the defense? And feel like, man, I got Aaron Rodgers out there, and he was throwing things. He threw a dime, and they're like, wow, like this, we gonna be in every game, man. We gonna be in every game. That's tremendous for the defense to feel that way and to play free, right? They don't play tight. It's like, let's go out there and make some plays. You know what I mean?
And think about this: with this defense, how many times, is the defense going to stop a team in and put our offense when we
Right.
stop a team close to the red zone?
Right.
I'm just thinking about that. Like, wow, we're on the 35-yard line. We just stopped them. They shanked the punt. Or
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
Like, it's going to happen more than say less, I believe, with this defense and what I'm seeing. And you're going to say that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to put points up every single time, minimum 3 points every time. I mean, sometimes we go in there and like get sacked and get sacked again. Then we're on the 50-yard line and we can't kick a field goal to get three, you
Right.
know? But it's
Right.
like, oh man, I wish, oh, Aaron Rodgers just missed him. All right, well, at least we're getting three. And here comes the defense again.
Right.
And the next time we get seven. Next time we get seven. Oh, okay. Another three. And then two more times seven after that. Next thing you know, we have 31 points or whatever.
Just like what happened yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Complementary football. You don't have to go up there and score a touchdown every time. I mean, it would be lovely, but at least put up 3 points. Keep the defense off the field, right? Give them a blow, give them a break, and then be able to come out there. Don't make mistakes. Don't throw it, pick six or, bad turnover in your own half of the field. You can play somewhat safe, offense because the defense is going to go out there and erase the points for you, right? And they're going to turn the ball over as well. So, good things, man. I feel really good. The things I feel really good about, I feel really good about. Now, there's one thing that I don't feel good about at all at this juncture.
Well, hold on,
I know we're going to get to it, but I just
let me jump on. So I want to piggyback on what Brian said about the coaching staff too and the front office. I want to give a lot of credit to the player development aspect of the patience of this current Jets organization, especially with Mekhi Becton and Zach Wilson. A lot of organizations would have cut bait already on these things and said it's a bust, blah blah blah. We're going to get rid of him, or they would succumb to the whispers outside, like, what's the problem with Mekhi Becton? Why did he only play 5 plays? Why does he keep taking himself out? Blah blah blah. The New York market has a tendency to go ham on that. And it's funny because yesterday I was listening to the Carolina feed on the NFL Network for the game because I'm out of market. So they're much more gentle. They didn't say Bryce Young had a bad game like you did, Brandon. They were much more gentle to Bryce Young, even though he was on he was running for his life every second.
He was on skates. Huh?
So when you look at we got these people that we've invested in. We're not just going to throw them out in the trash. We're not just going to try to salvage whatever draft picks or whatever. We're gonna put them in situations like Robert Saleh has done exactly what he said he'd do with Zach Wilson last year. And a lot of people are throwing around the whole thing with Zach Wilson, with Robert Saleh being disingenuous and being fake, for Hard Knocks and everything like that. That's a lot of the criticism I'm hearing.
Really?
He said we're gonna shut this guy down. We're gonna reset him. We're gonna get him back to where he needs to be. This is all before Aaron Rodgers comes in here.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they go out there and they get Aaron Rodgers and Hackett together. And I mean, we haven't even gotten into the whole Sean Payton Hackett thing,
right?
Which is super interesting to me because you just don't do that. You don't, especially when you were out of the league for a year for putting bounty on NFL players, and letting that happen. But I think that the whole Saleh resetting Zach Wilson, the way that they're handling Mekhi Becton played a lot of plays yesterday. I would like to see what the results of those were.
Right.
Like we said yesterday, like somebody will cut it up and I'll be able to watch every Mekhi Becton play. But he looked more comfortable out there. There was one miscue that happened where the DN split. It looked like he was taking the outside guy and the guard was taking the inside guy, and they both thought they were taking doing the opposite, and the guy split the double team and got the sack.
That can happen to anybody.
That can happen to anybody, and it's preseason too, and he's playing with different people next to him.
Yeah.
So bottom line is we see player development to the point now where when we get to a 53-man cut, players from our team are going to go play on other teams. Yeah. They're not just going to go to the USFL and the XFL or, go play in Germany.
Yep.
They're going to go play on NFL rosters, and they're going to be pro scouted. And that just says a lot to what Brian was saying about Coach Saleh being able to deal with a situation like this. And this relationship between Hackett and Rodgers is like having a whole nother like ecosystem of coaching in the offensive side of the ball.
And
So
you know what?
one of
You
the
know
things,
what else?
let me just plug in there, Bean, and I'll give it to you.
Go ahead, family.
So I do
Go ahead,
have
baby.
PFF stats for Mekhi Becton so far in the preseason. I just looked up. Run blocking grade is 77, which is 14th as far as tackles are concerned, and pass blocking is 50.3, which is 111th. Overall, he's the 26th best tackle in the preseason. So chew on
Okay.
that, noodle on that.
All right.
I don't know if his sample size big enough to really say he's the 26th best.
Well, I
I
mean,
guess every I
again,
guess everybody's sample size is small
there's
too,
so
right?
many so many tackles that are playing. You got backups playing on top of backups and stuff. So you got to take
Fair
the
point.
26. It's not the 26th best tackle in the league, right? Because a
Right.
lot of
Right.
first timers aren't playing, right? First team tackles. But overall, I think this is where you probably expect him to be better at run blocking than pass blocking at this juncture, right? Because if you're going forward, you feel more confident about your leg. If you going backwards or whatever. So I think
Yeah.
as he continues to play and get reps, then he'll get more comfortable and backpedaling and be able to plant that knee and to be able to block people on the edge.
The other guy's McGovern. I mean, to bring back McGovern at the price we brought him back, and to have the faith that he can help to bring Titman along, and that those two guys can coexist too. I mean, it's not as sexy a conversation as Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson mentoring each other,
Right.
but we drafted a good center who looks great in the preseason playing center, but could also bump over and play guard next to McGovern if we decide to do that. AVT can always go and play tackle,
Yeah.
right or left.
See, I mean, I just really hope that we resolve this offensive tackle issue because I look at AVT as an all first team all pro guard. And I don't want to keep, he can fill in for us and be a solid tackle, but I want him to live where he can be great, you know? And I don't want to take that away from him. And I don't want to take that away from the Jets. But you're going to do what you have to do. But I really hope that we don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. We still have some work to do in that area. But before we move on to that, I just want to mention another thing as far as where the Jets feel good. Um, I feel good about the Jets special teams. You know,
For the first
Greg
time in a
Zuerlein,
long time.
yeah, man, first time in a long time. Actually, you know what? Not that long. First time since I guess Folk or Myers that ended up. The kicker from Seattle. He was pretty good.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it would be fair to say that the special teams in Brant Boyer have been good. The people kicking have not been good.
right, but I feel really good about and punting too. Punting has not been good. We drafted that punter pretty high, and he just didn't do well for us. But Moorhead is having a good camp. He's our punter.
More stead.
Morstead, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morstead. He's a good punter. Hennessy has been a long snapper in the league for a long time, and for us for a long time. They re-signed him. He's having a solid camp. And Greg the Leg Zerline, who I had in my fantasy last year. Brian, if you pick him in this draft, I'm gonna kick your head off. In our
Done,
fantasy.
done and done. Don't you worry, I got him.
Yeah. By the
Officially
way,
scooped.
Kyle, every time I'm drafting, this guy Brian is always like one guy ahead of me or one guy behind me. So I always have to draft like with thinking about this turkey.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. Even if
Yeah.
you're like 7 picks after me, I'm still thinking about you. I'm in your head.
Yeah.
I have to do. I have to
Nothing in
do a
your mind,
fantasy.
boy.
I have to go out on a boat this afternoon, and I have to do the fantasy draft at the same time while I'm on the boat on
Funny.
my phone. So I may need some suggestions on how to set up my auto draft or my player
Oh,
list.
oh
The
boy,
auto draft is tough, bro.
it is.
Yeah,
What about
my
returners? I mean,
connectivity.
do we have good return guys? I mean, I haven't really heard too much about that.
Xavier Gibson had a good return yesterday. Maybe 20, 30 yards. Um, but we also signed that guy Erickson from Kansas City,
Running
who
back.
is who is a I think he's like a running back slot receiver,
It's like a
but
slot back.
he's mostly a kick returner. He has
Yeah.
an awful number. He's like wearing 39.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
poor
remember
guy.
Johnny Johnson wore that number. Remember Johnny Johnson was on the Jets for a little while?
big
He's a
neck
decent,
roll
he's a
too.
decent running back.
He had a 1 year deal.
Yeah, but number 39 for a running back, it's not good. It means that you're
Ah,
kind of slow. It's not a good one.
it's
I'd
just the
wear 39 if I
two
were a
numbers.
safety.
I don't think there's any
They don't.
position where 39 makes sense.
If
The
you're a
two numbers
safety, that's
don't
not
look good
bad.
together.
Huh?
They don't.
Yeah, it doesn't look good together. But I mean, like, if you had to wear it, you'd have to be a safety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, because 93 looks good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
93
90,
looks
93
good.
looks dope, but 39,
Yeah,
horrendous. Yeah, I don't know.
93 looks good at D tackle or D end. It looks great.
Yeah.
But
well,
if you're
the guy,
standing up though, I don't like 93. I want to see your hands in the dirt.
the guy Hector is wearing 93. Got the strip sack yesterday and recovered the ball himself. And he just signed with the team the other day from XFL.
Right.
I
Wow,
think.
you
Right.
gotta love it.
Right.
You gotta love
Yeah.
it.
So he
By the
came
way,
in there. The D line was
I,
eating yesterday.
I love the number 11 on Jermaine Johnson. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I
Yeah.
like how they put him as a linebacker just to give him the number real quick.
Right, yeah.
I love
But
it. Yeah.
he's not gonna like that when it comes time to renew his contract because defensive ends make way more money than linebackers.
But don't worry, you put the sack numbers up, it's not gonna matter, bro. You know what I mean? It's not gonna matter.
You know, he'll just settle up and call himself an edge instead of a linebacker, or so
We
he'll
got
make
3 years. We got 3 years to worry about that.
right. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So guys, let's move on to our next bit of business. We just talked about all the good stuff, all right? Well, little goody gumdrops and all that good stuff. Remember that line, B?
Goody gumdrops. Goody
Yeah,
gumdrops.
goody gumdrops. Let's talk about the concerns that the Jets have. Obviously, we kind of started talking about it, but I have here it's our O-line. Things like Mekhi Becton, even though he played pretty well in this last preseason game, he got 26 reps in this game versus the 6 or 7 that he got in the first preseason game. That's a good thing. There's no reports of him being, say, injured or having any, negative after effects on his knee after the Panthers game. Hopefully we won't hear anything about that tomorrow. Also, Dwayne Brown. The guy's a perennial Pro Bowl tackle, but he's always hurt. He's 38 years old. And I feel like he had that shoulder surgery way too late, man. He should have had that much earlier, man. And he's still recovering. He's on the PUP list. And
Yeah.
how do you, as an O lineman, rehab your shoulder and then come back and be fresh and ready to take on these guys when you're trying to? It's going to be tough. I just don't know.
Yeah, and it concerns me because last year I felt the same way. This is like the second year he's had a shoulder issue, right?
Yes.
Right, because
Yeah.
he came in and then I don't know. He just they said, oh, well, all year he's been playing with this injury or whatever else, and it's like, all right, well then the minute the Super Bowl's over, then the dude should be under the knife, like you mentioned, and not at this point be where we are. The problem with that is cohesiveness on the offensive line, right? It's one thing for them to play individually well, but they have to play together because there's so much communication and all that stuff that's associated with it. If you go in and the first game of the season, we have Billy Turner and Max Mitchell as our tackles, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And I like Max Mitchell. I think he's going to develop into something eventually, but I don't think he's ready yet. And again, he had his own blood clot issue last year, which is the reason
Hey,
why.
watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Listen, man, you could take it how you want to. You know what I mean? Take it how you want to.
You're not Jamaican. Watch your mouth.
I don't think we're going to get to a point unless there's a lot more injuries that Billy Turner and Max Mitchell are the two starting tackles. I think that they would move AVT to tackle before that would happen.
Okay.
And I understand why Brandon doesn't want to do that. And I kind of agree with that. But at the same time, I think that they're going to try to put best 5 out there. And I'm not that worried about Dwayne Brown because he came in with a week's notice and started the first 4 games last year. And that was probably 4 of the best games that we played as far as run game and offense in the season.
True, but don't you have to get your – I don't think that they played that left side of the offensive line last year, if you recall. I don't think they played that well. Laken Tomlinson was a turnstile, And Dwayne was there, but it didn't impact it where you felt like, man, we played well on that side of the ball. So that's where, yeah, you could plug him in, but it doesn't mean that that side of the offensive line is all of a sudden going to be effective.
I'm more worried about Lakin Tomlinson than I am Dwayne Brown,
True.
just because of recent body of work. So I think that if he goes back to all pro form, if that's the Lakin Tomlinson that we get, then we're going to be okay. I think the continuity of McGovern, knowing the calls and everything like that, and they do have a new O line coach and a new offense, so there is some things that are different, but there is a little bit of veteran stuff there. I'm okay with Max Mitchell starting at right tackle. I was nervous about it last year, but he played pretty well um, in that position when he played there last year. So we had a really good running game. So the question is going to be: is it Mekhi Becton and Dwayne Brown both like flip flopping reps at left tackle? Uh, you know, is that what the case is going to be? And if that's how it is, that's okay. If Dwayne Brown needs a little bit more time, then maybe Mekhi Becton's ready to start. He
Yeah.
played more this week than he did the week before.
Was it all that
I
left tackle?
definitely, yeah,
Okay.
I definitely think that they're like the narrative with Mekhi Becton right now is you are a second string player
Yeah.
because you won't play right tackle. Well, I don't know if it's because you won't play right tackle because he's come out and said he thought he got hurt because he played right tackle or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I see the internal narrative as Dwayne Brown is the starter. He's just hurt, and you are fighting to be the second string left tackle. And the second string becomes the first when the first is out. So, I feel like that is actually progressing rather than degressing. So we'll see. But
How has Tomlinson been playing this preseason? I haven't heard much about him.
he hasn't played that much.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I mean Tomlinson is a starter. So
Preseason. Okay. Did you
yeah,
mean training camp or you meant preseason? I guess that's
I meant training camp in general, like the
right.
scrimmages, the inter squad scrimmages, the scrimmages that you have when you invite other teams to come in.
Right.
Washington,
Well,
Panthers,
the
etc.
line itself did not play well against the Panthers. And that was both the right and the left tackle. They didn't mention anything about the guards though, so I didn't hear anything about Tomlinson in that
Yeah,
regard. I think prior to that, in some practices, maybe I didn't hear anything about Tomlinson, which is always a plus as far as the O line is concerned. If
absolutely.
they're not saying your name, then that's a good thing. And I think maybe once he had like a negative play that somebody covered during a practice, but other than
Yeah.
that, it sounds like the interior of the line has been pretty solid. It's just the tackles right now that they have the light on because of their poor play against Carolina.
And that's my point, like that I was going to make. It's like we haven't heard anything negative, but it's fair, extremely fair, Kyle, to have concerns because he was like a turnstile last year. But I don't know if you've noticed, there's a lot more bootlegging, play action bootlegs, play action, as we used to call waggles, things like
uh-huh.
that in the offense. And as an O lineman, it makes it a little bit easier to block because when you can misdirect the defensive line and then they try to come back to the play and you have an O lineman smashing down in your face, it's so much easier to block, misdirection when you get them to misdirect as an O lineman, So maybe this offense will help them out, a little bit more. I'm just seeing more play action. I'm seeing more misdirection in the preseason that I've seen thus far. And if you look back at the offense that Hackett was running in Green Bay, not in Denver, but in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers is pretty nimble. I
Yeah.
just remember Aaron Rodgers faking and running out, and then having a lot of clearance, and then boom, boom, boom. So, you know, we'll see. I feel like that would be more play action that we've seen than when Zach was, our quarterback and in the offense with the LaFleur's, that he was quarterbacking under. We'll see.
Play action comes with a good run game. If you look at all those Green Bay teams,
Yep.
they had really good run games, and if in San Francisco and all those, you go back to the LA Rams with Todd Gurley, when they were really successful with play action. You marry those two together, and there's going to be success there. You want to limit the amount of times you have to straight drop back because people are going to get in these big nickels and dime situations, and they're going to sit back on you. So you want to have that good play action game. I think another thing, just segueing real quick, that may be a bit of a concern is the linebacker depth that we have. Uh, it's been mentioned on the thread. We have a perennial All Pro at middle linebacker. He's our Aaron Rodgers of the defense, and we have a great front four in whatever combination you're going to make. But
Yep.
between Quincy, Sherwood, those guys being our starters, um, where do we go from there? I like this kid Chaz Surratt a lot. What do you guys think?
I like Chad Surratt a lot as well. And I also like Zaire Barnes as far as the backup inside linebacker for Mosley. If Mosley, has to take a breather or if he's out for a little bit. I think Barnes has a little bit more to prove. I need to see more of him. But from what I've seen of him so far, I like him a lot. He's rugged, he's sturdy, and he's very athletic. These linebackers nowadays, that they're putting out there, especially in, say, 4-3 defenses, they're like your 6'1", 6'2", 228 to 238 pound like guys, They're not running around at 6'4", 250, 260 as much anymore in the 4-3.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys, 6'1", 230, 235, that can fly. And I like that. And he hits hard and makes tackles too. So I like that. You also know that I love Quincy, and he's undersized, but he flies around like a friggin' missile.
Yeah.
Sherwood, I mean, still question mark for me over there. And I kind of wish that we re-signed our guy, and I think he ended up going to New Orleans. What's his name again?
Nasruddin?
No, the guy that we had last year,
Quan?
Quan Alexander.
He went to Pittsburgh.
He went right. He went to Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
not New Orleans. He went to Pittsburgh. Yeah. So I kind of wish we signed him back, but we did sign Nick Vigil, who I like.
He had a big hit yesterday.
Yeah.
Huge hit. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? A few years back, I had him in my fantasy, and that's why I kind of knew him. So he's got good numbers. Watch him, So that's another thing that's settling me a little bit. And then, like you were saying, I like the kid Chaz Surratt, man. He's incredibly athletic. He's another one of those guys, 6'2", around. He's not even 240. He's in the 230s, and he can fly. And he's a former quarterback out of North Carolina. Wasn't going to get any burn at quarterback, so we flipped to linebacker. Ended up becoming, I think he was an All-American, and ended up getting drafted. And here he is.
I think he started games at quarterback.
I think so.
Yeah, and then Sam Howell came on the scene.
Right.
That's sometimes you got to make pivots with your position when that kind of stuff happens. But the thing with Chaz Surratt, he had an interception last week. He's flying around. He's wearing number 55, so we got to love it. He looks good in 55.
He does.
And the thing about the Jets defense that somebody pointed out to me is that the reality is it's very, very much the minority of the time that there's going to be three linebackers on the field at the same time.
Right.
You're gonna the big nickel look is the way that these defenses are going, and they mentioned in the Carolina broadcast last night one of my, not quite a Pat Mahomes pound on the table, but I did pound on the table for Jeremy Chin, and he is the big nickel. Actually, they're not even calling him a safety or a linebacker.
A rover.
Yeah, well, they don't even have a name for it right now.
Yeah.
Big Nickel is what they're calling
It's
it.
kind of my thing.
Big sexy, huh?
Uh, yeah, Big Nickel is a good MC name too. Um, the it's kind of the same way that Jamal Adams, with his lack of coverage skills, is going to be used in Seattle now too. So that's kind of the way that the league is. The defenses adjust to the way the offenses hit them, and vice versa. Shout out to the Athletic for putting out that Playmakers podcast with Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan's coaching tree. If you guys haven't listened to it, it's really really good, and free on Apple Podcasts. And we're not getting paid for that, but it's really good. And it talks a lot about the specifics of how these defenses adjust to deal with these things. It also says a lot too, like if we did sign Dalvin Cook, um, we're not. To me, we're not just signing him as a running back; we're signing him as a slot as well,
Yeah.
and somebody who can line up and create a matchup problem for a linebacker, or force the defense to go dime instead of nickel to be able to cover it.
You know what?
So
Go ahead, Kyle. Let's finish it.
no, I'm finished.
So I would say this going into or ending last season, one of the position groups that you would say was the worst would be safety, right? And performance overall. And the fact that we haven't even mentioned the safety position yet
Great point.
is a testimony to Tony Adams, right? And what he's been able to do. Because we bring in Chuck Clark, right? And he gets injured for the entire year before we even get into solidly into training camp. I think that was the end of OTAs that he got hurt.
Yeah,
And so Tony Adams comes in and now quieted everybody down. He's been rangy. He's been all over the place. He's been one of the stars of camp. Wasn't a name that I even thought about going into the year, right? But that's if we can get solid safety play, which was definitely a weak point in our play last year, especially from that free safety position. You got Jordan Whitehead, playing the strong safety position as well. But if those two players, can play well, man, I mean that's really the hole in the defense, or the hole that we had last year. We lost games because of safety play. Like we
yeah.
definitely lost games. So Tony Adams can come in there, really play free safety like we need him to play. And so far, he has been. I'm excited about that role. And then just getting back to,
Let's
the
not
kick
forget we
return.
have Amos as well. We have Amos. Let's not forget that, the safety from Green Bay, who has been in the league, a veteran, and I
Yes.
think he made a couple Pro Bowls as well. He's solid.
Yeah.
Better.
John Amos, the father from Good Times, as we have.
That's his son, Adrian. But yes, that's a good call out as well. And they've been battling. Tony Adams and Amos have been battling back and forth for that particular role and who's going to start there, which is good. But then you got McCole Hartman as far as kick returners. So when I was thinking about
Well,
who's
that's right.
returning
Totally
for us,
forgot about that.
yeah. So we got McCole Hartman out there who scored
Nice.
touchdowns from either a punt return or a kick return. He scored 2 overall in return games. So definitely looking forward to some improvement there.
He's our dynamic guy right there.
Oh, we got a team.
We got to
We gotta
team
stay
daddy.
gotta
We
stay
got a
healthy.
team.
Yeah,
We're forgetting hot dudes, bro. That's how you got a team.
yeah,
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
yeah. Me and Laszlo played Madden yesterday, Carolina versus the Jets, before the game came on.
Okay.
But we're playing with last year's rosters, right? So I was playing with Carolina with Darnold starting at quarterback, and and DJ Moore on the team. And you look at the starting offense that the Jets are putting out there last year, and like these guys, like Mims is gone,
Yeah.
Elijah Moore is gone.
Yep.
I mean, so and why are they gone? Because they couldn't be developed. They couldn't develop the culturally. They
Right.
couldn't develop.
Right.
And a Mackay back then and a Zach Wilson could could get with the culture and develop. And it's interesting. It's really interesting. Robert Saleh may be doing a better job than people are giving him credit for, and now just people just don't want to give him credit because they're crows and they're pecking on his neck, I guess.
And
So
because you know what? And because we're the Jets, because no one expects the Jets to really do anything and be of anything, and you really can't fault them. We haven't been to the Super Bowl since '69 for the '68 season. You know what I mean? So I get it.
yeah,
I get it. Like if we were the Browns, we'd be saying the same thing, because that organization stinks. So he's just gonna have to just break the glass ceiling and push through so that we can make this happen. But we have a team, we really do, and let's just hope that we continue to have, a predominantly injury-free preseason because last year we got hit pretty hard last year.
Right.
Um, and then, Sauce tweaked his leg, but that little hammy. All right. It's still early enough in the preseason. You'll be ready game one. Let's get Becton's knee good. Let's go. Let's go. You already proved that you can handle a little bit more work. Maybe next week you can handle some more work. Dwayne Brown, you had your shoulder surgery. Last year you didn't have a shoulder surgery. You probably needed it. And all
he
you
did
did
have a
was
shoulder.
yeah, all you did was play with a brace, right?
Right.
You were doing the Baker Mayfield thing, like, okay, you'll be in pain, but you can still play. It's probably one of those things. It was probably like a rotator cuff. So forget the brace now, get the surgery, get strong, come back, So, man,
One of the cool things about Hard Knocks is that this relationship that Aaron Rodgers now has with Liev Schreiber, who's the narrator for Hard Knocks,
yeah,
because he mentioned him and they had this whole scene where a helicopter came to practice and landed in the middle of practice, and then out comes what Aaron Rodgers referred to as the voice of God,
yeah,
Liev Schreiber,
yeah,
to watch practice, and he's like, I really didn't want to do that, but the producers made me, and he's having the conversation with Aaron Rodgers, and I turned to my wife and my son. I'm like, Liev Schreiber, he played football at Brooklyn Tech until he got kicked out and had to go to Brooklyn Friends Academy in downtown Brooklyn. And they're like, yeah, whatever, Dad. And then you get to like the B-roll at the end of the credits, and Liev Schreiber says, "Yeah, I was thinking about getting in there and playing corner because I did play cornerback when I went to Brooklyn Tech." And I'm like, see, I wasn't lying because my wife says I make stuff up that I have
right.
yeah. So
So let me tell you, that's the job of the wives,
I had instant validation.
It's all right, Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen,
Tech.
yeah, man. So listen, I mean, we're in the preseason. I think it's fair, Kerry. We love you, but I think we're gonna go with our predictions for the season. Sorry, Kerry's not here, for that, but he's over there fronting hard in Greece. He don't care, you know. Is he doing the yacht thing? Is he gonna do one of those things like he's gonna hop on somebody's yacht and like puff a cigar like a Romeo and Juliet and kind of like just front hard and eat like, what is it? Eat hummus and pita bread.
Olives, and a little olive oil.
Olives, right? Yeah.
Mediterranean salad. Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about? Yeah.
He's gonna have the mirrored sunglasses, and he's gonna be a picture of him and his whole vacation's just in the sunglasses.
Right, in the sunglasses, guaranteed. Background with the nice white buildings, fronting like this.
Uh-huh.
So wait, Mediterranean salad B with the salad dressing on the side, though, right?
Absolutely.
And too much. He's gonna put too much feta.
Extra feta, actually, is what I'm asking for.
Extra feta, yeah. All right, so yeah, we have to do it. So yeah, let's talk about our predictions. Let's remember 17-game season. Last year was the first time we had it. Here we go, year 2, 17-game season, and let's not go with just the prediction as far as record. Are we going to make it to the playoffs? If so, are we going to advance somewhat? Are we going to go to the Super Bowl? Are we going to win the Super Bowl? I'm reading faces here. I'm trying to see who wants to go first.
Wow. No, it's not
I,
me.
I
It's
hate
not me.
I hate making predictions like
All
this.
right, bet. I'm going to do it. I'll go first.
So go ahead.
Here we go. All right. So I don't really like it either. And I feel like I always go like, yeah, we're gonna be great. I'm not doing that this year.
Sure.
All righty. I think we're gonna be good. In a 17-game season, I predict the Jets will go 11-6. We'll make it to the second round of the playoffs. And it's a dice roll from there. Okay? If we make it in as a wild card, I think we'll win the wild card game. And then we're going to go to the semis or whatever you want to call that second round. I forget what it's called, whatever. And I'm rolling the dice because I got to roll the dice. I just don't know. I just don't know. It's tough because we're in the AFC, man. It's like straight up dogs in that AFC. Like who are we going to play if we make it to the second round? Like, we could be playing Buffalo. Or we could be playing Cincy with a healthy Burrow. He'll be healthy by that time. We're not going to see Kansas City. We'll see them in the AFC Championship game, and that's tough. Who else we got? The LA Chargers look like they may, as long as their dumb coach Brandon Staley doesn't outcoach them, they're going to be good. They have a lot of weapons over there. Who else?
Playing the
There's a
Eagles.
lot of
Playing the Eagles.
Ravens.
Oh, you're talking about just teams in the AFC.
You're talking about AFC.
AFC,
Gotcha. We make the playoffs. We make the playoffs. I'm not concerned about that. I mean, as long as, again, health, because nobody can predict injuries and all that kind of stuff. We make the playoffs. And
so
I'm not.
What's their record, B? What's their record?
So you said 11-6.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying 12-5.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm
All
saying
right, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you on 11-6.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, and the factor between 11-6 and 12-5 is a motivated Aaron Rodgers, right? I think that dude is going to be motivated, is going to play better than he played last year, much better. And obviously he was injured too as part of that. But looking through it, I mean, we always lose. We're not going to sweep the Bills. So we're going to lose to the Bills at least once. We're going to lose to the Eagles. We're going to lose to the Chiefs. We're going to lose to the Patriots because we always do, right? At least
1-1,
right?
1-1,
right. So that's 4 losses, and then I struggle with Browns, Commanders, Dolphins. I said we'll split. Let's call it 5, but I don't think we lose to the Browns. I don't think we lose to the Commanders. I don't think we lose to the Texans.
Dallas?
I don't think we lose to Dallas because I think we're going to lose our first game to the Bills on the 11th. I think we turn around and we beat Dallas in Dallas. Dallas doesn't scare me. There's nobody on that team that I say, oh my God, like, I'm not really scared of Dallas overall. I think
I'm gonna tell you what, bro. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm not really scared of the Bills. How about that? I'm not scared of them.
I'm not either. But again, it's a division rival. They know us, right? So I think that because of that, it's always a tougher game, right? But
you know what? We know them more. They don't know Aaron Rodgers with us.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
They have a lot more to figure out.
The Bills were better last year than they are this year.
I agree.
And we should have beat them twice. I think
1-1.
I see. The thing is, I'll go with the 11-6 because I don't think we're going to win the division.
Right.
So I think that
in
not winning the division, it means that we don't dominate the division.
So what do you think? So you're saying that we should have beat the Bills twice. Are you saying we're going to beat the Bills twice this year? That's my first question. Because then
I'm saying I'm like Paulie with Rocky. I don't sweat them.
Okay. So, but
you guys get that? That's a Rocky 3 reference.
200%.
I don't sweat you.
Yeah. 200%. But my question is, do we beat them twice or do we not? Because if we beat them twice, I don't see how we lose the division to them.
So I think that so I was going to ask while you were saying you're 12-5, whether you're 12-5 means, or Brandon's 11-6 means we win the division or not. I think we will make the playoffs, but not as the division winner. I think the division's going to come down to one game. And it's going to be between Miami Buffalo and the Jets, and that someone is. I think we're going to have three playoff teams, and the one that won't make the playoffs is the Patriots. I would like to see the Patriots get their faces kicked in thoroughly every game of the season this year, whether the Jets are playing them or not.
Of course.
I I just think that Bill Belichick, like that ship has sailed, in my opinion. That I think it's very clear that Tom Brady was the captain of that ship, and that their success was probably 60% Tom Brady and 40% Belichick,
Yeah.
and 40% without the other 60% doesn't do it. And I mean, he's cheated. He's done so many things, but I think that the game is is more in the hands of these McVay Shanahan types now than it is the Matt Patricias, the Bill Belichick's, and the Bill O'Briens. And everybody said, "Oh, the Patriots are going to be so much better this year because they actually have an offensive coordinator this year." They went a whole year without having a legitimate offensive coordinator and thought they were going to be successful. Like, what kind of arrogance does that say? And you want to say the Jets ruined Zach Wilson? The Patriots ruined Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hot take. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And
Come at
Mac
me,
Jones,
Boston.
he went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie.
I think that Mike McDaniel and McDermott and Saleh are going to be every week not sleeping, trying to out scheme each other. I think that the Patriots will be annoying. I think they'll be close games. I think they'll figure out ways to try to take away the best thing that you do. But again, I want to see JJ. I want to see Lawson. I want to see McDonald just living in the backfield against the Patriots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, setting up an encampment.
I also want to see like Brees coming back, and like running their linebackers over to get into the end zone. You know what I mean? Like when they get their teeth kicked in, I want them to be smiling. Like that's what I'm talking about. I want it to be like this, like bam.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting fired up right
Yeah,
now,
I'm getting
but
fired up. I can't stand the
I
Patriots.
can't stand the Patriots, and I can't stand the arrogance
Yeah,
of this legacy of the Patriots. So it has to stop somewhere, and hopefully this is the year. We are the last. I think the last time that we had any success of note was when we beat the Patriots at Gillette in
the only
2010.
Patriot, the only Patriot I like is Rob Ninkovich, and he kind of gets on my nerves too. Yeah, Rob boy. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so all right. So I said 11 and 6. Brian said 12 and 5, and Kyle, you're saying 11 and 6.
11-6.
Now, how far? So that means we're going to make it to the playoffs, right? So you're saying wild card, right?
I'm saying that, yeah, non-division winner, wild card.
Okay. So then, how far do we go? Like in your estimation, how far will we potentially go? I mean, like there's wild cards that have made it to to the Super Bowl. Look at the New York Giants back in what 2011.
Last year. Well, oh, that made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and won it.
Well, I think that the margin for error between number one seed and the wild cards is not going to be that big in the AFC. The AFC is clearly better than the NFC. The NFC will be more of a it'd be even harder to predict, I think. But the AFC, it's going to go through the AFC North and AFC East.
Yeah.
So I think
What? Wait. Because Patrick Mahomes is in the West. So, repeat what you just said?
okay. Well, the one team coming out of the AFC West. How about that?
Okay. I just want to be clear because, I mean, that
I
that
think
to me
well,
is
I'm
the
think,
only impediment to us and a Super Bowl is Mr. Mahomes. And so that's why I can't get my brain wrapped around us getting to the Super Bowl unless somebody knocks them off early. But if we meet them, I just don't see us beating him. So if you're asking my prediction, yes, we make the playoffs. I think we lose in the AFC Championship game.
Right. I was thinking like we end up playing a team like Baltimore in the wild card. We beat them, and then we end up playing either the Bills or Cincinnati, in the next round, and that's where we may not make it, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, tough
and then
quarterbacks for
if
both
we,
teams. Yeah,
yes, and then they've
Yeah,
been there before. They don't scare me, but in the big game, like the Bills, I'm like, okay, they've been there now a few years in a row, and they have that urgency to take a step to the next level, and
yeah,
then
they've
that's
also choked.
uh,
They've also choked.
they
Uh,
yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
Aaron Rodgers has won Super Bowls. He's lost Super Bowls. He's won NFC championships. He's lost them. Um, he knows how to operate in that space. I think that when we're talking about playoffs, there's so much that has to do with momentum
right.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
morale and health and all these things coming together.
and
So,
momentum too.
I
Yeah,
mean,
he
yeah,
mentioned that. Yeah,
if we're talking about like, you know, how hard it would be to beat Kansas City in the AFC Championship, we're talking about what's on paper right now. We have no idea what we'll look like or what they would look like at the time of that imaginary confrontation.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I might rather beat them or play them early than later. Um, you never know.
Well,
You
and
never
listen,
know.
and if we end up meeting them in the playoffs, we would have already played them in the regular season, early in the regular season. They have the advantage at that point. I say there's no way that we beat them. But what I would say is if I'm comparing rosters and I'm looking at our roster versus Kansas City versus Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Buffalo, I kind of like our chances, right? If we're playing well, because our defense, I think, in the things that are important on defense is the pass game, right? Can you get to the quarterback? Can you shut him down in the secondary? I think we have that far and away above any of those other teams at this juncture in the
Agreed.
season. And I think our offense is enough to go blow for blow with the other offenses that are out there, minus Kansas City. That's where, and Joe Burrow, right? Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati, Kansas City, head and shoulders above the other teams that are out there offensively. But I think our defense
Uh-huh.
can keep us in the game enough where hopefully we can strike on offense. So, but I think
Yeah.
my question is not on the list here. What are we satisfied with? If you end up going to the playoffs and your prediction, is that we get knocked out in the second round, are you happy with that B, right? I mean, my prediction is AFC Championship game, and if we end up there, I think the season is a success from my vantage point. But I pose that question to, the other BKBK folks on the call. Are you satisfied with your prediction knocked out after the first round?
I'd never, listen, I'm not satisfied. I haven't been satisfied as a Jets fan, period, because I haven't seen them win a Super Bowl. But I would look at it as a
Successful
mark,
season?
a marked improvement, yeah, and a successful season. I would, because we haven't been there in a long time. We acquired a talent that allowed us to get there for the first time in 12 years. And if we go off of my scenario and we win a game, and we go into the next game and hopefully we're competitive in that game, but we lose, I would look at that as a successful season. And he's already said that he doesn't look at this as a 1 year plan.
Right.
We can tweak it, and then the next year, come in and make things happen. And then my expectations would be even higher. I just don't want to over expect. You know what I mean? Because you get crushed out, and then then your holidays aren't as good as they should be. You know what I mean? You don't want to go out to the Millridge Inn and take your family to dinner for the
The
holiday.
Millridge and the Fox Hollow Country Club.
The Fox Hollow Country Club. You end up going to the deli down the street instead and cutting up the
Rain
hero
Horse.
and say, "Stay. Let's just stay at home. I don't feel like going out." Like who wants to watch? Like they just lose the playoff game or whatever, and then now what? Okay, Dad, we're gonna go to like, nah, you know what? We're not going. Well, how come we're not going? We're gonna go and get a hero. We'll cut it up. We're gonna want, at home. I don't want to. You know what I mean? So yeah, we haven't had good holidays, guys, as Jet fans. I mean, think about that. Could be a
Yeah.
lot better.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer this question the long way.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to say, in my entire life as a player or a coach, there's always been this margin for error, towards being good. You go back all the way to like our best team in high school had a margin for error of one game to make the playoffs. If we had lost one more game than we lost, we might not have made the playoffs in high school with the team that we had. And you get a couple injuries and then you're out in the first round. And I mean, did we consider that a successful season? 30 years later, yeah, we considered it a successful season, but it fell short of our expectations. Because we wanted to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Coaching at Baldwin and Grand Street and Brooklyn Tech, it was always like all these things need to come together to have the perfect game to do that. And I feel like for once in my life, the talent is there.
Yeah.
Like someone has taken care of like looking at every spot. And we can nitpick the offensive line, but it's not like we didn't try to put the best offensive line we can out there as an organization. But in 3 years, they've created a depth chart and then went out and got a quarterback and got his right-hand person to be the offensive coordinator. Like, my expectation is that I'm going to be happy at the end of the season because we won the Super Bowl. And like, when you ask if I'll be satisfied with anything other than that, I don't even think satisfied is a word that I can use.
Yeah.
It'd be like, I'll be disappointed that we didn't see the thing all the way through. But, I mean, 20 years from now, if we make it to the end, I'll look at it the same way I looked at the 1998 season or the 2010 season or the 2011 season. They were successful, but unsatisfying.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I should have phrased it differently.
Short answer, I'll be unsatisfied.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, Kyle, you basically echoed my sentiments, but the way you said it was way better than how I did because I get all emotional when it comes to these Jets. So I think I'm going to.
Emotional?
Yeah.
Just you. You're the only one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know, right? Please wait till I go to work tomorrow. But I think with that, because you said it so well, we can wrap things up here. It's been a pleasure once again on the BKBK podcast with my brothers. All righty, Kerry, we love you and miss you. We'll see you on the next one. Have fun. Be safe out there in Greece. Have all the lamb chops out there. Get the gyro with the lamb meat. Forget the chicken. Get it with the lamb.
Get that Grecian formula. Get all the gray out.
Yeah, get all of that. And get that tzatziki sauce. Tzatziki. All righty? All right, guys. Thanks for watching another episode of the BKBK podcast. We want to be able to keep bringing you the latest news and viewpoints of where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme, especially this year. So keep watching. You can find us on Facebook on our BKBK Podcast fan page, Twitter on @BKBK Podcast. Not Twitter anymore, but it's called X. But you can still find it there @BKBK Podcast.
Still makes me laugh.
Yeah, right. Instagram @BKBK Podcast, as well as on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, just type in BKBK Podcast, hit the like and subscribe button to show the love. And if you can't watch us, you can listen to us on iTunes. Go to bkbkpodcast.com Podomatic.com. All right, guys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, that's it. Let's go Jets. Let's go Baldwin Bruins. We stay repping Baldwin Bruins, Long Island, all right? And let's go Team BKBK. Cue it up, B.
That's right.